Good morning, Bates. It is Tuesday morning. I'm here with Mr. Fonseca. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Good morning to all of our Bates students. I hope you're all doing well. And how are you doing, Mr. Softic?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I think I'm a little tired, right? I think everyone after a long day, first day back in person, everyone's a little bit more tired. We're not used to having that much stamina throughout the day. And I'm sure that's the same for teachers and students as well, right? So know that as we transition into a longer school day, to make sure we pace ourselves and know that it will take a little time to adjust, and so that we can take on that full school day and not even think about it.
Exactly. So we're asking all of our students to show a little bit of perseverance right now, one of the traits we learned before, which means as you're going and encountering challenges, just keep going, doing your best no matter what. Even if the transition was a little harder for you, keep going, don't give up.
Yeah, absolutely. And so obviously now that we're in school for a longer day, that means we have lunch and recess a little bit longer than we typically would. And one of the big things at lunch is, even though we're eating outside, we want to make sure that we're dressed warm, because if you go from lunch to recess or recess to lunch, that means you're going to be outside longer, right?
Yes.
And yesterday was very windy. So make sure that you have a sweatshirt, you have a jacket, you have a glove or hats if you need it. Even though it might be 55, it could feel a lot cooler than that because of the wind, us being so close to the ocean. So make sure that you're dressed prepared for lunch and recess every day.
Yeah, that means as soon as you leave class to go to recess or lunch, you're stopping by your lockers, you're grabbing your coats, and you're making sure you bring them with you.
Absolutely. And then, just some of the, expectations, and make sure you're safe, responsible, and respectful at lunch. So when you walk outside there, make sure you find a seat, whether it's on a stump or a bench, one person to a bench at a time, and to sit on the sidewalk, the curb of the sidewalk. All right. So there's actually lines on the sidewalk. So if you sit on a line, that means you're going to be 6 feet from the next person. So we want to make sure when we get there, we find our seat. And during the whole lunch block, you are to sit in that seat. All right. Unless you have permission, and then you need to raise your hand, and talk to a volunteer or a staff member out there to throw something away or use the restroom. We want to use our restroom, before we come outside. All right. So make sure you use the restroom before you come out. So make sure that you are in your seat, because if you're not wearing a mask, all right, we really got to make sure that you're 6 feet away from each other. So that's why you always got to stay in that place.
Yeah. You want to think of that spot outside as like an outdoor cafeteria. Or if you remember from previous years, you go to the cafeteria, you would just sit at your cafeteria table and you wouldn't get leave that table unless you got permission to go throw out your trash or whatever it was. So as you come outside to that spot with the stumps and the benches, you're going to sit and you're going to stay to eat your lunch there and raise a hand if you ever need to leave your spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're not going to walk or run anywhere, going to and from recess or lunch, right? So if we're using the crosswalk or going from lunch to recess, we always walk. All right, we need to make sure you have safe bodies. That's really important, especially on the steep hill. And then when we're at recess, make sure you stay within the fenced area. We're not going to go outside the fenced area to play. It's always down in the playground.
That's absolutely right.
All right, Mr. Fonseca, anything that you saw at recess we always want to be mindful of?
We just also want to be mindful about when we're transitioning. You're going to have different people at recess line you up. You want to make sure that you stay in line and that you're following your line all the way through and into the building. And that really important as you're coming into the building, you've got to have that switch in your mind. It's, oh, I'm coming into the school building now. That means I have to use my indoor voice. All right. As we transition back into the building, that expectation of you're inside the school, all right, you're changing your volume and you're following all the expectations of how to walk in the hallways of our school. That should come to you immediately. So walking silently in those halls and coming into the school, being ready to learn as soon as you cross the doors into the school.
Yeah. And make sure you get that hand sanitizer at the door when you leave and when you come in. Very, very important. We want to make sure we're doing that. All right. So those are just some of the takeaways, from our in-person students, our remote students. Some of you had a new teacher today or yesterday, and I'm sure that was tough or challenging and maybe exciting. So continue to listen to your teachers, get used to them. They might have some different schedules or expectations. Just know that things could change as they really try to figure out, the new classrooms. All right. So again, we need a little patience. To do that. So continue to keep working hard remotely. The instruction has been fantastic. So trust your new teachers, and I think everyone's going to have a good rest of the school year.
That's right.
All right. So before we get going, Mr. Fonseca, anything else you want to add?
It's our second day today, our second full day, that is. And so just remember to stay strong, persevere, and show integrity, which is the word that we're learning this week, which means that always be honest about what you're doing. If you make a mistake, have integrity and say, oh, I made this mistake. That's okay. I'm going to make it better. Always do the right thing, no matter who's watching or who isn't. So, as we talked about the recess rules and the lunch rules, make sure you're following those rules. Even if an adult's got their eyes on you or if an adult doesn't, you're always showing integrity. You're always doing exactly what's expected of you, no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. And I say those things because we get to continue to learn them and get
Yeah,
used to them. I thought yesterday we did a really good job. So,
definitely.
we didn't really go over it a whole lot before, and that's on me. So now that we are going over it, you guys did a wonderful job. Let's continue to build off that. And so we have a great day. All right. So
Absolutely.
there is a read aloud if everyone did that to go with our integrity theme. So that's going to be in the morning announcements for teachers. So that you might be going over read aloud and having that themed activity now. But if not, that's going to wrap up our announcements for today. And as always, it's a great day to be great.